I'm Alex Davis. I'm the owner of Dragon City Farms in Dallas, Texas. We grow hydroponically leafy greens, herbs, microgreens inside a climate-controlled farming environment with no pesticides and no herbicides. We use 90% less water than your typical corporate farm, and we can grow all year round. We're going to show you some recipes today that bring out the best of our leafy greens and herbs. You'll be surprised how different your food will taste when you're using the freshest ingredients. All right, today we're going to make a easy pizza dough to make flatbread pizzas with. I call them flatbreads because I don't usually put sauce on mine. It's just usually whatever I want, whatever protein, vegetables, a little olive oil, and cheese. Again, you don't have to use beer, but I am going to use beer in mine. You're going to pour about a cup of beer into a microwavable container. You're going to microwave this on high for about a minute, maybe a minute 30. You want to get between 100 and 110 degrees. I'm using active dry yeast. You can either get this in a packet or in a jar. The jar is going to last you about 6 months in the refrigerator. I normally get in the jar so that I don't have to worry about whether or not I have a packet available. You're going to put 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast, active dry yeast, in here. If you're using a packet, all you have to do is use 1 packet. So we're going to take this and we're going to pour 3/4 of a cup because we're going to start with 3/4 of a cup. Because we're using beer instead of water, it's going to require more liquid than what it would be if you just use water. Water, you're going to be 3/4 of a cup only. We'll pour the warm beer in here and we will let it wait for 5 minutes to allow the yeast to activate. This is what it's supposed to look like. If your yeast and your liquid don't look like this, that means your liquid was either too hot or it was too cold and your yeast is not activated. So you need to throw it out and start all over again. But if you don't have your yeast looking like this, then your dough will never come together. What we're going to use next is 2 cups of 00 flour. 00 flour is just extra fine flour. It's milled more than what regular flour would be, so it's more of a powdery substance. Like I said before, this is a basic pizza dough recipe. You can use regular flour. Again, I'm a little bougie and a little bit too much effort into things sometimes. So I'm going to start with 2 cups of flour. Again, I'm using 00. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a teaspoon of sugar. We're also going to have 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of high quality extra virgin olive oil. Now that we've got our ingredients in here, we're going to hook this up. Now you can do this by hand, but I just like my kitchen toys. You want to start off slowly so you don't spray flour all over the place. As it starts getting incorporated, you can pick up the speed. And don't worry if it doesn't look like there's enough liquid in there. You're just going to let it run for a little bit. Now this does need just a tad bit more liquid, so I'm just going to put a little bit more of the beer in there. And I'm just going to let it go. You'll basically know when the dough is ready because it will basically clean all the sides of your bowl. As you see that the dough is basically cleaned the sides of the bowl for itself. So now is the perfect time to stop it. We're going to turn it off. We're going to put our bowl beside it. We're going to take about a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. Move it around the bowl. You actually get a little dirty and just move your hands. The dough should come off the hook cleanly. You're going to put it in your bowl. We're going to cover this with the saran wrap. And I'm horrible at getting saran wrap off. You're going to set the bowl either in a sunny place or in a warm spot for about an hour. Okay, so we let the dough proof for an hour. This is what it looks like. Now, I did make this the night before. Normally I like my dough to double proof, which means you let it proof for an hour, you push it back down, then you let it proof for another hour. We're going to flour our working surface. I'm going to punch it down, make a little ball, and then we're just going to pinch off. You should be able to get 3 balls around the same size. You're going to take one ball. I like to press mine down, flip it over, press it down. The oil will make it a little sticky. This helps. And you're just going to roll it out. I'll roll it out to whatever shape or size that it rolls itself out to naturally. Doesn't always have to be a circle. You can make it as thin as you want it or as thick as you want it. This is about how I like mine. What you can do is you can take a fork and put a bunch of holes in it to keep it from poofing up when you bake it. Just to make the transferring it to the oven as easy as possible, I already have a pizza wheel. I'm going to sprinkle some semolina flour. If you don't have semolina flour, you could use cornmeal, polenta, just so it'll have some friction so it'll slide off. I put my dough in the freezer because it makes it easier to work with and to get it off the paddle onto the pizza stone. You can do this with fresh dough. It's just up to your personal preference. I like it to be as easy as possible to move it from one to the other. The first pizza we're going to make is just a simple margarita. Use whatever your favorite canned tomato sauce is, or you can actually crush tomatoes yourself. So we're just going to take some fresh basil. You can chop this up. I just like to tear it and just sprinkle it all over the pizza. We're going to add some fresh tomatoes just to brighten it up a little bit. We're just going to sprinkle a little salt over the pizza. We're going to crack some fresh ground pepper, black pepper. And next we're going to add our mozzarella cheese. You can use whatever mozzarella cheese you want. I like the kind that comes packed fresh in water. Little pearls. I'll just squeeze them and drop them. You can put as much or as little mozzarella cheese as you want. And when you're done, we'll get ready to put it in the oven. So you turn your oven up to as high as you can go. You put a pizza stone in there if you have a pizza stone. If you don't have a pizza stone, you can take a baking sheet, a cookie sheet, turn it upside down, put it in the oven as you start to turn your oven on. You slide your pizza off. close it back up. It'll take about 7 to 10 minutes to cook. Need something. We're just going to garnish this with some micro basil. And grate some fresh Parmesan. Okay, on this pizza, this is a simple pizza. We just put a little salt and pepper, red pepper flakes, onions, tomatoes, giardiniera, mild giardiniera. You can use hot giardiniera. And I'm just going to tear over it some basil. On this one, we're going to add some serrano ham and some arugula. If you want to keep this strictly vegetarian, you just don't have to add the ham. This one will be the meatzilla.